This is the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus in a very nice, cheap silicone case. Why is it in a silicone case, you ask? Well, it's mostly to cover up the dull green color, but after setting aside the superficial stuff and getting to know what's on the inside, this is truly an awesome flagship that I'm convinced is the one you should get. So here's why. Hey, what's good YouTube world? Prash here with my review of the S23 Plus. And to start us off, I want to get straight into the design. Alright, so my first impression of this device, design-wise, was that it was a little basic. It's boxier than the previous gen, and I appreciate this as it is nicer to hold in the hand while allowing Samsung to cram in more tech inside. The camera lenses have been split up and are sort of floating around in space without the aid of the module that came with the previous generation, with the flash sitting across the ultra-wide sensor. Now the sensors themselves try to sit flush along the body of the phone, and I like this because there isn't much sticking out of this phone. Now the color, well, it is what it is, you know? It's technically green in certain lighting conditions, but it's also more grayish most of the time, so my opinion, pick up another color instead. Alright, so my first thoughts on this device was that it looked pretty unassuming. Boring even. But the more I used it, the more the design actually started to make sense. You see, I ain't MKBHD. I don't have 20 phones just lying around. So you better believe I'm gonna put a case on this device. And I think that pretty much goes without saying for most of the people who buy this device. Now, Samsung knows this. And so instead of making a phone with really bold design choices, they instead chose a safer design that is more case friendly. And the compact camera sensors make it that much slimmer. And so the minimalist industrial design language really made sense the more I used this phone. Alright, so let's jump into the screen and the software. With S23 Plus, you get a flat 6.6-inch Full HD Dynamic AMOLED 2X Infinity O display. That's right, ladies and gents, you get the big O. Did I use that correctly? Anyway, putting aside all that fancy lingo, all it really meant is that you get one of the best 6.6-inch HDR displays on the market. Samsung is definitely still the industry leader in this aspect. The screen is just perfection. It gets plenty bright and the viewing angles are fantastic. The colors are punchy, along with deep blacks, makes for an awesome viewing experience. Also, the specs you get with this device really aid in your overall experience. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 coupled with 8 gigs of RAM plus the 120Hz adaptive refresh rate provide a fluid user experience, both when playing demanding games, using heavy applications, and even when navigating through the UI. All of this feels buttery smooth. Samsung's One UI really has come a long way, and the balance between a clean aesthetic and true functionality really shines through. Alright, so now we're going to get to the camera system. And with S23 Plus, you get a 50 megapixel primary sensor, you get a 12 megapixel ultra-wide, and a 10 megapixel telephoto lens. And while this seems like pretty common practice from many smartphone manufacturers, this combination is all you really need. Photos come out looking sharp, plenty of detail with really nice colors, bright but not overexposed. Samsung's computational photography has really improved. It's not as great as Google, but better than the previous gen. I noticed that any shot with a blue sky seems more on the artificial side, and this is where the HDR processing seems to fall short. Nighttime photos are really great. Photos shot in night mode retain a high level of detail and are bright enough without being too grainy. However, the S23 Plus tends to drop the shutter speed by a lot, which can make shooting moving subjects difficult in low light scenarios. The 12 megapixel front-facing selfie cam produces decent portrait shots in good light, but does start to struggle in low light conditions. Video shot on the S23 Plus is also excellent. I found that when shooting 4K footage at 30 frames per second, you're able to get very stable, very nice footage, even without a gimbal. So I'm really impressed with that. Alright, so before we wrap this up, I just want to talk about S23 Plus's battery life. And I gotta say, the battery life is definitely an improvement over the previous gen. With moderate usage, I'm able to get up to about 2 days on a single charge with this device, which honestly is pretty great. Now, I have tried to kill this device in a day, and I just haven't been able to do that. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not really much of a mobile gamer, And so my usage typically consists of navigation, social media, browsing the web, going on Reddit, watching YouTube videos, and things like that. Now, heavy gaming usage, I'm pretty sure would result in a different story. The speakers aren't revolutionary, but get the job done. So all in all, the S23 Plus is a brilliant phone, and is honestly the one to go for in Samsung's S23 lineup. Now the Ultra is a leap above this phone and is better objectively, but with a phone like that, I always find myself never using half of the features it offers, and so I feel like this is kind of the case with most people. And so for me personally, the S23 Plus hits that sweet spot between size and functionality. I also appreciate the newer design change, which is more case friendly, despite the older gen looking a little more unique. Alright, so this has been it for my review of the S23 Plus. Looks like we're out of time, so I'll catch you in the next one.